Hello, welcome back. Today's November 15th, and we're doing business and social stories on your hump day.
Let's start with some hardware. And here is a pointless set of records, but you got to do this with every new generation. You got to try.
The 14900K at 7.7 gigahertz, 50 overclocking world records with the Raptor Lake refresh and plenty of liquid nitrogen. Sorry.
Just threw up in your mouth a little
Liquid nitrogen.
So a lot of liquid nitrogen. Totally unrealistic. I don't get it.
That's like speed running, where it's just like you would never encounter this in a normal playthrough.
It is weird. It is, I mean, it's 14th, 14th gen, 13th gen refresh, but
And we still have the foundry wars going on, and Intel is still assuring us that it is going to be number one.
Intel races to catch rivals as AI boom supercharges its chip competition. It's an interesting article. It's also really interesting. Nvidia had their big thing, and they said, look how much faster an H100 is, but they seem to also be showing that Intel's Gaudi 2 was half the cost. So it's like if you just buy more Gaudi 2, then it's going to cost less and be faster.
This is paywall, but it's 5 new nodes by, was it 2025?
The end of next year. So we'll see. That means they're bringing 3 products to market next year, which seems like a lot.
And they're looking to bring in other people to make their chips. They say they got all kinds of space. Bring us your designs.
Now keep in mind, Emerald Rapids is launching December 14th. That's just right around the corner.
And over in China, of course, they have been blocked from most of the good AI stuff, and especially the Nvidias, which everybody wants. So they're saying, you know what? We're not going to play these games with you. We're just going to keep making our own of everything.
Baidu placed an AI chip order from Huawei and a shift away from Nvidia. Well, it's not like they had a choice. I mean, they can only buy last year and the year before's GPUs. The new stuff is on the trade embargo.
China's relationship with chip companies is the same as my relationship with fast food companies. I'm just done. It's such a terrible
I was going to say
product.
begrudging, but
No one has banned me, but they probably should have. And, bad economic situation going on over there in China and everywhere, honestly, but especially in China because they were the manufacturer for the world of technology. And the world of technology has hit the world of inflation.
China's largest chip maker, SMIC, posts an 80% drop in third quarter profits. Why? Because no one's buying anything except what you absolutely have to have.
They claim that it was just oversupply from their customers and that has been worked through, so it'll be better going forward. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it is. And we've already taken a look at this, but more and more it seems to be getting hype. I don't know if this is Canon spreading some advertising money around or if this is really going to change things.
Canon challenges ASML dominance with a new chip-making tech that could lead to cheaper chips. So Canon has gotten something for their own photolithography stuff. We'll see.
Well, they're doing the, what's it called? Nano something. It doesn't use light.
Nanoprint lithography.
Yeah. Which is supposed to be way cheaper. And last time, I think we actually talked about this, the 8 gigabytes of RAM and some of the MacBook options, which in 2023, 8 gigabytes. What are you talking about? A Chromebook here? No, this is an insanely expensive laptop. Well, they caught some flack for that, but they've got an explanation.
The guy from Apple says 8 gigabytes of RAM on an M3 MacBook Pro is like 16 gigabytes on PC. I really hope you're not drinking that urine.
This must be
doesn't even taste like Kool-Aid. It just
bizarro world.
Do you know how much 8 gigabyte of RAM upgrade is on that M3?
Oh, that'd be 100%.
$300.
Oh, yeah, right.
$300 for 8 gigabytes of RAM. Do you know how much the BOM cost is to Apple on that? About $11.
They insist that they're so good, so optimized, that it's the same as if you were going for a PC.
Delicious urine. God, Apple is hideously evil.
Well, one way that urine could be made delicious is if somebody was rooting around your brain, changing the signals.
like a brain worm?
Yeah, it could taste like lemonade. But That's probably not what's going to happen here.
Thousands of people are reportedly lining up to have a portion of their skull removed and one of Elon Musk's brain chips implanted. Spoiler alert, that's already happened. And they're in some of the electric vehicle forums.
So there it is.
Have these people just not seen the stories about the dead monkeys? I don't.
Probably not. They dig a hole in your head there, and then a robot comes in and pops these in you. They are going after people who are otherwise really messed up, though. So
That's
I kind of understand.
Like, yeah, if you don't have any other.
Yeah.
Chances.
If your life is just, trapped in your own body and there's a 1% chance, they're like, well, we might kill you. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, no, let's go do it anyway. Yeah. Sounds good. The Fire TVs are a great example of them altering the deal afterwards. So you've got your giant TV for $300. You're loving it. Maybe the panel's not that great, but you don't care. You're just having a good time. And then some things just keep getting added to it.
After luring customers with low prices, Amazon stuffs Fire TVs with ads. It was literally like, what are you going to do? Return the TV?
Yeah, I feel like back in like 2016, 2017, we made jokes about this and like we didn't think it would actually happen. And here we are only a few years later.
So one of the big things, now this is from the literature that they show their customers. It's like, oh, if you run ads with us, we can run persistent ads, which are basically just pop-ups that never go away at the bottom while you're in the menu.
This makes me so irrationally angry.
And not a great way to block all that.
I guess it's not really irrational. It's rational anger.
No, yeah, that's totally rational.
Yeah. Maybe my reaction to it is on the unhinged side, but
No, I don't think so. I think anything south of like filling up bottles with gasoline and Google mapping Amazon warehouse, anything that's totally normal. And this is the second or third time we've seen something like this. You got a smart home controller? Well, it's probably a matter of time before it just betrays you.
This smart garage door controller is no longer very smart. MyQ has done the awful company thing and locked everybody out that was previously using their smart garage door opener. And you can only use their broken, crappy app.
MyQ sends their regards and they stab you.
Yeah. It used to work with Home Assistant and everything else. Now it doesn't.
Well, it just had a raw API that you could get to. What a great device. But they're done with it. So they recommend some alternatives here.
Which will probably also be compromised and messed up.
Yeah, what an idiot company. They're going to be out of business. I can't wait for the Level 1 report that's like, oh yeah, idiot company did something stupid and now has lots and lots of unsold inventory.
But the founders have already jumped ship and they're already on to the next new thing that they're going to sell and then jump ship from.
Yeah, golden parachute.
Fabulous.
And the one place that we might be able to escape all this dystopia is in our dreams. But big tech is not willing to let you be unmolested even there.
Scientists are researching a device that can induce lucid dreams on demand.
So they can show you ads while you sleep.
Yeah. The Fire team at Amazon, they're probably like, get started on this. Dream ads. It's going to be the huge new frontier in advertising.
I'm going to be incepted. But it's going to it's not going to be like in a fun way, like a heist movie. It's going to be so that I buy Funyuns at the gas station. Incepted.
You just fill your car up with Funyuns.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm doing
Your
this.
family's like, what's wrong? So there it is. You wrap this thing around your head. Looks like it would be hard to sleep on the side like that.
Wasn't that one of the jokes in Futurama? It's like they kept having Fry have cravings for bachelor chow.
But
Probably.
it monitors you. And then when it figures out you're in REM sleep, then it starts using the ultrasound to mess with your head. And the idea is they can figure out how to put you in control of that dream. The way that they would do that is you'd have to watch an ad to get out of the dream. Like the dream would get progressively worse.
You know you have a phone call, but you can't wake up.
That's like Freddy Krueger, but he's Amazon branded. He just wants to show you ads.
It's like you can save yourself. All you have to do is enjoy the delicious, refreshing taste of Virginia Slims. I'm just like,
Let me out.
Well, they certainly wouldn't allow cigarette ads.
Unless they paid a lot.
This breaks my heart because I really, really love this thing. I mean, I probably wouldn't go there.
A lot of people are excited about it, but yeah, I don't see how it's supposed to make money.
Yeah, it's just maybe we should make this. Maybe the government should just buy this and make it a goodwill thing for our country.
Las Vegas Sphere reports a $98.4 million loss its first quarter, and its CFO quits.
Was it supposed to make money? Like,
what's a venue?
This seems like it was going to be a PR stunt, though, because it's not been in operation that long, and it'll probably make money next quarter or the quarter after.
The inside is also covered in, and so you can do like concerts and stuff in there.
Oh, someone told me about that. I didn't like fully understand what they were talking about. I was like, really?
And good news, I guess, if you love garbage media.
Hollywood actors' strike ends with a deal that will impact AI and streaming for decades.
YouTube.com/C/Level1.
What was the deal? Nobody's willing to say. We don't
I think
know.
it was supposed to be announced today while we're filming this.
Are they going to give the details?
That's what it said in the article.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So by the time you guys see this, you might know a little bit more than we do.
We do know that the iteration before this one didn't address AI enough to satisfy the actors. So presumably they gave something up there. And the hype train is a dangerous thing. You should not ride it. And I get how alluring it can be, but it's never a more powerful or evil hype train than when this is involved.
Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer is already breaking records a month before its release. Its, in this case, does not refer to Grand Theft Auto 6, but merely its trailer. The trailer release.
Not even the trailer.
Not even the trailer.
It was literally just a Twitter post saying, we're going to premiere the trailer in December.
The tweet for the trailer got more reactions and views than any video game related tweet ever in the history of Twitter.
I posted it to my friend's Discord, but everyone there is so jaded, they were just like, eh. We'll see if it actually comes out.
Rockstar has completely crapped all over the modding community. Let's not forget that. Like, just the most, like, the MyQ of mod and modding communities. Like, no, you must not. This is not blessed by Rockstar. Modding is no longer allowed.
Forget all that. Remember Rockstar Social Club?
Yeah.
They make it miserable to use their products. Their product is really good, I'll admit. We had a lot of fun with that.
If you're looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6, just go give Larian a bunch of money for Baldur's Gate instead.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's going to scratch the same itch.
Yeah, I mean, you can technically kill hookers in Baldur's Gate. Though there's not very many, and there's no vehicles.
Yeah.
I guess there's the Mind Flayer ship, but you can't really pilot it.
I like it. I did confirm that if you get all the you can have the romance scenes, and it does have all the romance scenes. But then if you go to the brothel and you do like the thing, it's just like black screen. I'm not going to show you that.
Maybe in the definitive edition, tragically. Be honest, because you almost did it on stream. I don't want to, spoiler alert, so like plug your ears. Did you screw the Emperor?
No.
The squid guy?
No.
Apparently there's an achievement for it, so your friends will know if you've done it.
He lays it on thick.
He does.
Yeah.
You like pop into the dream world and he's shirtless, just like, no.
He does seem like he's sort of cripplingly lonely.
Oh, it's a lonely existence.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel that bad for him. He's a little manipulative.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
He's a complicated man. Or
Squid.
lizard or whatever he is. Yeah, squid. So we have learned a few more nuggets from the Google lawsuits, and they just get more and more outrageous. It just shows you how much Google abuses its riches.
Google offered Epic $147 million to launch Fortnite on the Play Store. Why? Because they knew they would make that money back. It's like when you hire somebody and it's like, we'll give you all this money. And it's like, but I'm going to make so much more money on them that it's crazy.
Which just perpetuates your ability to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And buying up anybody who tries to compete with you.
That doesn't sound like capitalism at all. I was told that capitalism worked this other way, not this way. That's weird.
Well, it would be capitalism if the government wasn't always also protecting Google with regulation that they write. Google, I mean, by they, not the government. And over in Australia, they had a rough week. This would have been your biggest nightmare. That would be fun to see how you would deal with this.
Optus says that some key services are gradually being restored after an hours-long outage affects over 10 million customers. Yeah, so you're just going to be unplugged for a while. 10 million of you. That's a lot. By percentage of people that live in Australia, that is a significant percentage.
Should be a little bit of a wake-up call, considering Australia is at the forefront of going cashless. Because what did you do during that time? You went hungry. And without fuel. And anything else.
I feel like that if there were multiple providers in Australia and there hadn't been extreme consolidation, that the outage would have probably been a little more limited. It's weird how that works.
You also have to think about like just even little things like power outages. It's nice to have cash on hand sometimes for things like that.
Cash is illegal, Krista.
That's on its way to being in Australia. And it's important to remember as we now get ready for Disney to gobble up Hulu, that every time something like that happens, they tell us, hey, it's good for consumers, right? Because this is going to lower prices. And yet,
consumers are paying more than ever for streaming TV each month, and analysts say that there's no reason for the companies to stop raising prices.
It's weird. I feel like I'm paying less than ever, and yet I'm still seeing all the content.
I sadly, because of my parents, am contributing to this. It's unfortunate. But the analysts pointed out, they're like, yeah, Netflix did it, and it's only been good for them. They got more subscribers, and they've got a lot more money because people can't wean themselves off of this drug. And as I said, Disney and Hulu expect this to be bad for the consumer.
Disney Plus and Hulu merged an app to launch next month for bundle subscribers, Bob Iger says. So Disney acquired the remaining stake in Hulu, I guess, because Hulu was owned by a bunch of different people. And so now it's going to be Disney Plus Hulu.
It was already Disney Plus Hulu.
I think you can have Hulu without Disney Plus. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
It's all just going to be under Disney, I bet. Maybe not immediately, but give it time.
Because I accidentally nuked Always Sunny and I need to reacquire it.
Totally legally, though. Always.
I'm just format shifting.
Well, these online services, they come and sometimes, sadly, they go because you just can't compete with that kind of thing these days. And, you know, the adpocalypse and all that business. So pour one out.
Popular video chat service Omegle shuts down.
Was anyone sad about this?
Well, it was basically still run by one guy, apparently. And there's a lawsuit because of bad things that may have been happening on the platform because it was just run by one guy. And he's just like, I can't deal with people.
It's a platform that hooks you up with a completely random stranger. You have to go into that expecting bad things. Yeah. You have to protect yourself. But some people didn't think so. It was definitely a dark story.
There's a lot of dark stories out of Omegle. I always avoided that site growing up because, yeah.
I think that's the parents' fault, right? Ultimately, you blame the parents for that. You got an unsupervised kid, they're online, they're doing dumb stuff. That's your fault.
It's like unsupervised children with firearms, basically.
Maybe a little less than that, but in the same category. And I read this, and I'm interested to hear your take on it, because to me, it only sounded like you got one terrible feature for this price.
Yeah. Amazon introduces compelling new healthcare benefit for Prime members for only $9 a month.
I know this is an Amazon press release, but you can't just call your own product compelling.
Yeah, and it's also not like really even a healthcare benefit. It's just placebo.
It's telehealth.
Yeah.
Which a lot of places already do.
For $100 a year. Now, they do say that you will also have access to nationwide office visits of One Medical. Do we have a One Medical around here?
No.
Maybe if they're in your area. So this is, I guess, kind of like where things are going, right? Subscription healthcare.
Which, I mean, to be fair, is kind of how the insurance industry works.
But you know what? I was going to say you have a choice, but you don't.
You don't. No, you have to have insurance. Amazon's going to try to like build a great product here, and then once everybody's on there, they'll just shitify it.
Yeah, well, not only that, if you do have insurance, then the insurance company doesn't want you to have the drugs that you need. So
I think drugs were also part of it, right? Prescriptions.
It's sad when the Mark Cuban thing works better.
It sounds terrible. I don't know. Maybe some people could benefit from it, but what a dark world we live in terms of healthcare. And all those ads that they're cramming into all the Fire TVs, well, apparently maybe there are some limitations with Android that won't let them cram as many as they want. So they had to roll their own.
Amazon is ditching Android for Fire TVs and smart displays.
What was it called? Was this Vega?
You do not need an operating system on your TV.
So small.
It needs to accept signals from a thing, and that's basically it.
Well, that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get a brand new horrible thing with their own operating system.
And a lot of suffering. A lot of suffering.
And Alexa.
No one wants any of that.
And here's an interesting, if you're trying to, go the other way and just have a system that is basic and locked down and safe, perhaps you should explore this.
Canonical reveals more details about Ubuntu Core Desktop.
Isn't this more for like screens and stuff in public places? That was what I was reading.
Yeah.
This is something that the base operating system never changes. So you can layer stuff on top of it, but it's built to be just like run forever. This would be great for post-apocalypse.
Maybe that's what they're planning for.
Dark.
Well, Google is planning to steal your location data. How are they going to do that? By giving you more features that are probably actually quite useful.
Waze will now warn drivers about crash dangers using historical data. The area that you're entering has a lot of car wrecks. Don't know why, but just be aware.
What will the old folks in my town talk about? Be careful going around that curve.
It is weird. It's like, this is an elderly neighborhood. There's a lot of accidents that occur here.
That is a problem that is just going to keep compounding as we age as a society.
Until the robots are taking care of us.
I'm not sure if that's better or worse. And here's an interesting article because you would expect this first word to be Microsoft. But no, apparently Apple, in their hubris of annual OS refreshes, have gotten into the same pickle.
Apple hits a pause on iOS 18 and macOS 15 development as bugs spread. Yeah, iOS has been sort of rotting from the inside for a long time, and finally the lack of maintenance is catching up with them.
So they're going to do a big push to squash all those bugs for 1 week. 1 week?
It's going to be hell week for those developers.
Yeah, sure.
I can't stop crying.
And you'll appreciate it too, because you work for Apple, and there's a lot of people that are H-1B visa holders that are ready to, as we learned from the story in the first episode of the news.
The job market's tough right now. You sure you want to be in that?
Yeah, we're going to have Fatima shadow you this week. Don't worry. And if you're into editing photos, that's easier than ever because AI and let us do it for you thing. But they are predicting the awfulness of humanity.
Google Photos Magic Editor will refuse to make these edits. How do they know which edits will be refused? Because they dumped the binary to look at the strings for the error messages. So if you're talking to it and you ask it to edit your ID card or, a body part or something like that, it's just like, nope, I'm not going to do that.
I'm sorry, Dave.
One of my proudest Photoshops when I first started using Photoshop in high school was I Photoshopped a weird statue's face on my best friend's face. And I was like, wow, I'm incredible. And people aren't going to get that experience anymore because they're going to try to do it with AI.
Even if you wanted to do something interesting or, just and completely innocent, like I would like, my face to be on multipass, like in The Fifth Element. It's just like, no, I can't do that. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, there goes that.
Got to learn to do it the old-fashioned way.
Well, I would say pour one out, but honestly, we don't need this. And it was a terrible idea. It only worked in a narrow part of our reality that thankfully is over.
WeWork, once valued at 47 billion, files for bankruptcy. It was co-working office space. Really nice co-working office space.
Which, pre the thing was a great idea. But then everyone stopped working in offices.
And everything's fine.
Remember the design trend in offices where it was basically just to gut it and turn it into an empty building with a few hanging lights overhead and a few tables. And it's just like, look, it's a big open space and it's so airy. And it's like, but I can hear somebody whispering from the other side of the room. And it's like, this is modern office design.
I could smell them from the other side of the room.
Yeah, well, there'd also be like no rugs, or like the chairs would just be like these weird little plastic stools. And it's like, who works like that?
Well, apparently that was $47 billion of real estate, Krista. And that's the really insane thing is like the WeWork thing, like their real estate, that just none of it is worth anything. It's madness.
Well, one thing is worth a lot. The Epic Game Store. Although they are burning money at quite a rate. And part of that might be the legal team because they have been working around the clock for how many years at this point?
Epic Games goes to court to challenge Google's App Store practices.
It's the same old story we've been doing over and over and over, and they just keep fighting.
So they want to have their app in there, but not for the 30% commission, basically.
Now, I do not patronize a lot of restaurants these days, but I have seen this a couple of times, and I have thought to myself, there ain't no way I'm installing your app. I'll just get up and leave. And apparently, in a lot of places, that is the only option.
Aussies fume over being asked to use QR codes at restaurants.
I went to a restaurant a few months ago. It was like a coffee shop to get breakfast with some friends. And they had the thing where it was like, oh, you can order at the counter or you can use our app QR code thing. And I was like, I'm just going to order at the counter. I don't want to give you my info.
So the app sounds convenient, right? But you do have to install the app, which is going to track you. Also, the app is going to tack on a 2% convenience fee and an automatic gratuity.
The darkest timeline.
Which is weird because the gratuity goes to the person taking your order. Except now, there's no person. If you're a Microsoft employee, you had one tiny little perk. One just little insignificant thing. Didn't cost them any money. They were already running this, and they tried to take it away.
Microsoft employees will keep free access to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate after complaints. Microsoft's like, nobody ever uses this. You don't need this. And then 238,000 people were like, I'm sorry, what?
Minecraft is the only thing keeping me going, bro.
Ugh.
Now The Verge went to, this is crazy. Let's appreciate the scroll bar size here. This story was ridiculous.
Yes.
Why was this? This was like the Russian book that's famous for being super
You
long.
think
War
the
and
article
Peace?
author got paid by the word?
You could really say any Russian author book.
Crime
and Punishment.
Crime and Punishment's what I was
I
thinking
like
of.
Crime and Punishment, but it is like a gazillion pages too long.
But anyway, they're talking about SEO.
The people who ruined the internet. As the public begins to believe Google isn't as useful anymore, thanks to AI. What happens to the cottage industry of search engine optimization experts? And those are the people who ruin the internet. That's it. I just saved you the entire trouble of reading the
The
article.
people who ruin the internet.
There's nothing there's nothing else useful there.
It is awful.
Yeah.
And they point out that most of the SEO people actually are not even in it anymore. They got rich and they're like, oh, yeah, I've moved to other industries because AI is doing that now. So it's getting worse. But,
Bots talking to bots, talking to bots. The dream of the internet.
and those bots are moving more and more into all of our things. But apparently Volkswagen, even though they're creating subscriptions and all this horror, they just can't figure it out.
Volkswagen Group's troubled Cariad, I guess is how you say that, software division to lay off 2,000 workers. You might remember Volkswagen got in trouble because the software was so good, it detected when it was in an emissions test, and it ran with a completely different profile than when it was actually out in the real world, basically doing an end run around the emissions test and EPA guidelines. Well, those 2,000 people have gone away now.
And you might be thinking, well, I don't even want apps in my car. I just want to drive my car. Maybe listen to some music. Heated seats are fine, but you know what? I'm willing to press a button. And the Audi leader, he says, no, that's not what my customers want.
Audi still has big plans for more paid software features. I think that common people are going to get clued into this whole, holding stuff that I already bought for ransom, and the pendulum is going to swing hard the other way.
He insists that customers want subscription models in their cars.
What's he been drinking?
But I mean, like, I like to think that people will get sick of this at some point, and that probably is true at a certain tipping point. But we see with streaming over and over, people are like, yeah, Disney owns everything now. Anyway, I'm going to go pay my $40 bill for Disney Plus. It's like,
Netflix.
what? Yeah.
Netflix just like punches you in the gut and then stomps your face when you're down, and you're like, okay.
Thanks, Netflix.
There wasn't an
Love
immediate
you.
reaction from Netflix though when they hiked the prices. But supposedly there's been a bit of a slow burn of people canceling after like the second or third or fourth month of high rates. But
It hasn't hit their financials yet because they're still everybody's looking at them as like, oh yeah, this is the model to follow.
I don't think I included this as a story because it's kind of weeby, but like, did you see that they're doing a live action Avatar series? They've released the trailer for that
I
today.
did not see that.
I don't know if it'll be good. It feels a little like, you know how like art direction on a lot of modern shows, it's like, it just feels too clean. Felt a little bit like that, but I hope it's good.
I don't know.
For my own sake, for my own weeb heart.
I don't even know what Avatar is.
You never watched
I
Avatar:
know
The
it's-
Last Airbender?
I know there's different than, I know there's like James Cameron Avatar and then there's the other Avatar.
Yeah, I really like the other Avatar. I don't think you would like it because it's child protagonists.
It's also anime.
Yeah.
They waste my time. I can't have my time wasted. And it's interesting because we talk about Netflix, right? And we talk about Disney and how those users are willing to tolerate almost anything. But it shows what a different user base the Linux users are. Because you do one little thing. I mean, it wasn't a little thing. It was an awful thing. But Red Hat Enterprise did something and they were like, oh, no.
CIQ, Oracle, and SUSE unite behind OpenELA to take on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, they just said, we're not going to be quite as forthcoming with open sourcing the upstream stuff, or it's going to happen a little different way, which maybe makes things a little harder for open source distros based on Red Hat, like Rocky and CentOS. Well, CentOS was already a different thing, but you know what I'm saying, Alma Linux. And so Oracle and those other companies are just like, okay, that's weird. We'll just do something different.
And they're coming out with their first version. Let's hope it's good. And Microsoft has basically press released that they will interfere with the next election.
The headline is Microsoft reveals plans to protect elections from deepfakes and other misinformation, which basically involves Microsoft replacing the internet. It's like, you go to Azure now. You don't go to the internet. It's all Azure. Everything is safe in the Azure enclave.
Who decides what's the truth? Microsoft.
Please no.
And the robots have taken over the internet. It is, as Krista says, bots serving bots at this point, which makes this a special kind of awful.
Welcome to Captcha Hell. Those little annoying online puzzles are about to get so much more annoying because the AI has gotten so good.
And all the AI has to do all day is solve these puzzles. I've got other things to do all day.
They point out that they did some tests and the AI was better than humans at everything they tried. So what are we really accomplishing here?
Have you seen the picture of like, you know how they have the thing in front of like a cow paddock where it's like slats where it's because they can't walk across it? It was like one of those, and then it's like, I am not a cow. Check. Made me laugh.
How long has it been, Krista, since you've played Overwatch?
Whenever they did the beta, I played the Overwatch 2 beta.
Has it been a year?
Yeah, it's been a year.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
And it's been a tough year for the Overwatch community.
Blizzard confirms it is transitioning from Overwatch League amid team withdrawals.
That's an interesting way of saying they're destroying it.
Yeah, the league is done. Overwatch League gone.
It's so strange. It's almost, Valve with Counter-Strike. They made it 10 years. 10 years with Counter-Strike. And you know what the secret was? Don't mess with it.
I noticed, because YouTube used to show me StarCraft 2 content. Because once in a while, I might watch something like that. But then it went away, and I was like, oh, it probably went away with all the other Blizzard stuff. But then I heard that they just had a $75,000 tournament.
Wow.
So that's still going strong.
Yeah, I think League was always weird because they tried to do it like from top down. Because when the game first started, people were kind of like doing their own tournaments, and then Blizzard was like, no, you'll do it our way. And then they started Overwatch League. So that was already kind of strange. And then with Overwatch 2, I think interest just plummeted.
Yeah. They claim they're going to keep doing something, but I think that's a lie.
Yeah.
I think they're going to let that die.
Just quietly let everything about Overwatch 2 die.
Now, here's an interesting headline because they do kind of explain that this might not be exactly what it seems, but I feel like maybe there's also just trying to convince you not to do this. I don't know.
YouTube crackdown leads to quote unquote hundreds of thousands of ad blocker uninstalls.
I think this is just a bad headline because later in the article they say that there was an initial drop and then people would jump to other ones that still worked.
Well, yeah, it wasn't that they were just getting rid of an ad blocker. It's that they were switching ad blockers because their ad blocker sucked.
I think the exact sequence for a lot of people was I'll uninstall it, and then the shock of
The internet without an ad blocker.
oh, something ain't right here.
They exist. That will beat it. Still, at least as of this recording. That might not be true by the time you see it. And we have some interesting internal court documents. It's always the court documents, right? That show us what the positronics inside this man's skull were doing.
Mark Zuckerberg personally rejected Meta's proposals to improve teen mental health, court documents allege.
The photographs they choose of him, like they managed to find one where he has no shine in his eyes, like just solid black.
A dead robot. I don't know if I can quickly find the quote in here. Yeah. So this is what his engineer wrote to him, that he still continued to be like, no, we're having it.
But just want to say for the record, I don't think it's the right call to, given the risks. I just hope that years from now, we will look back and feel good about the decision we made here.
That was years ago.
And spoiler alert, no, they do not,
They do not feel good about it
this.
in the court case.
They also pointed out some very specific things like the filters, the beautification filters on Instagram. And they were like, Mark, this is causing maybe some unaliving. You think maybe we switched? And he was like, no, others have it. We will have it.
Well, you know.
And TikTok, they decided to lure all the young creators over. And one of the ways they were going to do it was by sharing the revenue. Is the operative word.
TikTok is shutting down its $2 billion creator fund because $2 billion among 2 billion users is like nothing.
Pennies, which most people said that that's what they were getting.
They did say that they were starting up some other new program in that article, but who knows if it'll actually be any better. Probably not.
And WhatsApp is getting a little bit more secure. I guess this is always a good thing.
WhatsApp now lets you hide your IP addresses during calls. So previously, if you called somebody, it would reveal your IP address, which might be sensitive information.
Definitely sensitive information. And we continue to learn that our online interactions, especially on social media, are just being mined for every kind of possible data that it can be.
AIs can guess where Reddit users live and how much they earn, just based on your posts.
I feel like that's not too terribly impressive.
That's 30% bot traffic that we were at earlier. Is everybody's got one of these bots. They're trying to sell it now.
Well, I was also just thinking, like, how many people will just say where they live, like on Reddit
Or they're subscribed to a local subreddit.
yeah.
Well, if you were a fan of some of the older social media and you were still holding out, probably bad news for you.
Owner of Tumblr confirms the site's shift from surging to small and focused. I'll always remember the Oatmeal's comic about Tumblr and Tumblr's infrastructure.
Tumblr, I went back there recently looking at fan art for Baldur's Gate, and I was like, this is so much worse than I remember it being when I was a teen because they've added so much JavaScript. Like, it's just a pain to scroll through. Sometimes you'll scroll through it and it's just like, 100 years later, you get the lazy load pop in. It's so bad.
It is bad. And most major websites like that are bad because they insist on keeping doing that kind of trash, which is why most people, or at least a larger and larger snowball of people, are rejecting it. Good job. And coming to places like this.
Content creators surge past legacy media as news hits a tipping point.
As we read news articles from the internet to you on YouTube.
We're not exactly doing our own investigative reporting, but I feel like
We do add our own flavor.
It's a weird flavor, a little funky, but
the warnings and like the interpretations, if you for some reason do believe the mainstream media, it could help you.
There's at least no deliberately included urine, unlike some of the other
Viewers can have a little urine.
but they're getting a lot.
I do think this is interesting. Strange, I guess.
It's also going to lead to a lot of crackdown on free speech.
The very small handful of people that I know that used to work at actual real newspapers, like in the early 2000s, they're all doing radically different stuff now.
I mean, there's no money in it. Like,
Well,
they won't pay you to write.
I don't think they ever cared about the money to begin with, but they can't even make enough to live. So
Right.
they're just like, I don't care.
Because no one's willing to pay to consume that trash.
Yeah. Well, I think that if the frog had been boiled more slowly, that people would have been willing to pay to consume.
Not when you got TikTok.
Yeah, maybe.
There's just so many different things to demand your attention now.
Newspapers survived for a long time with the advent of television.
Yeah, but television's going to die too.
But how are we
It's
supposed
like
to compete with Marmaduke?
Yeah, it's like it's an overlapping, like it's time. And we're not even talking about newspapers here. We're talking about websites like Forbes and New York Times. No one trusts them anymore.
Do you think that we're just a handful of years away from things like large language models? Like you have your phone and you just record the event happening, and then the large language models picks up like 5 or 6 different people's recordings, and it's like, hey, put me together a summary of that, and you've trained your own model.
Except you can fake video now, so I mean that's not even. It's just gonna be bots all the way down.
We're probably 5 years away from you filming something with your own phone is illegal.
No, because Apple will legislate against that because they want to sell you a better camera phone.
I would have never thought it would be so hard to get right to repair passed and saying things like that. And so, don't believe your lying phone recording device is totally a future that might be coming.
But sadly, that proves that the legacy powers are still enough in charge to control. Like they were able to scare enough people that's like, oh, if you vote for this, you're going to get stalked in your car.
Level 1 on the side of individual rationality and being able to think and read. Go team.
It's a hard pill to sell people.
Yeah.
They don't like the taste.
It's going to be a lot of work to think and read for yourself. I'm sorry, but hey, we're here to help you. And it's okay if you think differently than we do.
No,
In fact, you should, because we're
just
definitely
idiots on the internet.
we're random bozos. Wow, sorry.
Anyway,
I
that's
hit the microphone.
that was a long extra. Bye. We love you.
See you Friday. Come back Friday.